share this video with someone. I definitely appreciate that. And let's talk about. I got two shootings that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the guy Jacob that was shot 7 times by a police officer, and then we're gonna talk about that young kid that I thought he was 17. Some people, I heard that he was 18 maybe, but it seems to me like it was
Everything
17.
I'm seeing says 17. So
17. All right. So that one is, I can't wait to talk about that. So I want to share a video as well. There's not going to be any sound in this video, but it should give us some context of what we're doing here. So the story, if I'm sure everybody has seen it, but the story is that police show up to this guy. And first of all, let me just say something. There is a confusion here to me when people talk about racial stops or racially cases, and people don't understand this. When you want to talk about racially a case that is racially profiled, there we go. Is when somebody stops you based on the color of the skin. So if me and Richard are somewhere, something happened, and they come and talk to me based solely on their opinion that I'm Hispanic, that will be racially profiled. But if
right.
somebody says, hey, the guy who committed a crime is wearing a black shirt that says pro life, and he's Hispanic, and they come and talk to me, that is not racially profiled. I just make
That's part of the
somebody's,
description.
that's just a description, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So all these people saying that this is racially profile is now. Police officers responded to a call because there was a disturbance, just like they responded to a call for George Floyd because it was a disturbance, and the other guy in Georgia, the guy that burned down that Wendy's,
Right.
Rich something, whatever his name was. So again, it wasn't racially profiled. It showed up there, and in the case of Jacob, they knew, essentially, they knew that they had a warrant for his arrest, sexual assault. I mean, this is unbelievable, man. We are, doing accounts where we're getting $1 million or crazy amount of money on people that sexually assaulted people, right? The same thing with George Floyd. He put a gun to a pregnant girl, and we giving these people a flag that is typically reserved to military members that make the ultimate sacrifice, the first responder, and people that do something amazing. Not people that put a gun to some girl's belly, man. I mean,
Yes, when they
that's
gave
not,
that flag, I found that highly insulting, highly offensive.
yeah, of course, man. I mean, what do you did for our community, man? Come on, dude. But if you make an opinion like that, people, oh, you racist and this and that. No, dude. Like, chill out. It's simple, You want to go in the military, jump in a grenade, we give you a flag.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Yep.
that's just how it goes.
Veterans are a minority group too. All right. As far as our generation goes, um, for a global war on terrorism, about 0.4% of the U.S. population was in the military at some point during the global war on terrorism.
Hmm.
Compare that to World War II. 11% of the U.S. population was in the military in some way, shape, or form during World War II. And
Wow.
so, I mean, American veterans from the global war on terrorism are actually one of the smallest, not the smallest, but one of the smallest veteran demographic minorities.
Hmm.
So, that's, they're taking a symbol and they are appropriating it for something that is inappropriate. And
Right.
I mean, both of my grandfathers have that flag on their coffins. So,
Hmm.
and they earned it the right way.
Yeah, of
And
course, man.
so,
But here's the thing. They respond to this house. Again, this guy has a call, a warrant for his arrest. Obviously, they're gonna respond. Let me play kind of like the first video here. There's two angles to this case, and here again, there's not gonna be any volume. All right, so just want to make some comments here. Essentially, they respond there and they find themselves into a fight with this guy. You guys see them. The guy was on the floor. Police officers are fighting. They deploy a taser as well. Nothing stops this guy. This guy is a violent individual that we already know. They know this because he has an active warrant for sexually assault and couple other things, right? In the past, he being arrested for fighting the police. So the cops know that this guy is a violent individual. They show up there, they get into a fight. Obviously, look at this right here. Not following commands. I mean, it's pretty simple. When you're fighting, when a cop takes a gun and put it to your face, I'm pretty sure that the basic guy will be like, all right, my bad, I've stopped and follow commands. That's not what we're seeing here. What we're seeing here is the guy walking away. And have you seen this video, Richard?
I've not seen that angle, and because of the screen that I'm on, it looks about 1 inch by an inch and a half on my screen, so
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Oh
really
yeah,
make it
you and
out.
your
You'll have
cell
to
phone.
describe it for me. Yeah, I'm just
So
a
I
guy with a
mean,
phone.
as the guy is walking away, I mean, the entire family screaming. I mean, this is total chaos. People are screaming at him, and this dude is completely disregarding anything. And again, got into a fight with the cops. Taser was deployed. Now he's going to the side, and now we go into the second angle right here, which this is actually the cop that did the shooting. And as we come into here, I want to stop here right now because as the guy
Mhm.
continued, obviously he'd been giving commands, and in fact, there's reports that they say that they told him to drop the knife. He
Yep.
opens the door, and you see the cop holding him and kind of trying to push him out of the car in a way, holding that tank top. And again, the guy opens the door, and obviously they found a knife there. So he was reaching for a knife. I mean, it's that simple. And at that point, they shoot 7 rounds towards this individual. So I think that this right here, man, I think it could have been stopped. I think it was just as simple as, hey, look, man, I got caught. They have an active warrant for me. I'm causing a disturbance. Cops showed up there. You don't have to fight no one. You just get arrested and go through the process because obviously you are not a good guy. Obviously you
It
got
didn't
caught.
have to. It didn't have to end like that. It didn't. And but he's the one who chose. He's the one who forced their choice on that.
Mm,
And they, if you draw a weapon on a police officer, you have to expect that bad things are going to happen to you. I mean, it, that's that's what any reasonable person would know. And so was it ignorance on the guy's part, or was this suicide by cop or attempted suicide by cop? And I don't know the guy, so I can't make a judgment call on that.
mhm,
Either one of those is bad, but I don't see any other conclusion for why he did what he did, and resulted in the officer having no other reasonable recourse except to fire on it. And
mm,
I mean, that he fired 7 times. I mean, that could have been panic fire. I mean,
yeah,
that happens when people are afraid for their life. They pull that trigger until the threat is stopped. And even once the threat is stopped, it still takes another
mm,
quarter second for the message to reach their brain to say, stop pulling the trigger.
right.
So, I mean, that 7 shots can go very, very fast. And I mean, especially
Mhm.
if your handgun is geared for that,
Isn't
you're
people
to
get
be able to
shot
do it.
multiple times sometimes and nothing like they don't even realize they got shot and they continue to fight? Because my intent on that, as a military police officer and like combat environment, all that, you shoot into the person stops,
Right,
you
because I
know?
mean, that's what you're trained for in the
Hmm.
environment. And, that's just how humans react defensively. When they panic, when they are in fear for their life, they're going to go to whatever their training was. And their training, the police, their training on the firing range is to pull that trigger. So that is
Mm-hmm.
what their brain is telling them to do. When you hit that 100% adrenaline dump, your body is going maximum physiological output. Your brain is about as intelligent as an alligator. An alligator has a brain like a walnut.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever your training was, and then whatever that part of your brain is saying, I need to do this to live.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it goes.
Man, I'm astonished by this, man, because the moment that it happened, the moment that this happened, I got into a debate with somebody in my family, and I'm thinking to myself, why would the cop shoot like that? Obviously, there was something inside the car. It had to be, but it feels to me that it's just like the gun control aspect. You know, if a shooting happened with an AR-15, you know they're gonna use that, and it's gonna go all over the place. Like this met the criteria, and because this met the criteria, they ran with this, and it's so fair to the system in general, because you know what, there may be some people out there that may find themselves in a situation that could have been racially profiled or something bad happened and they deserve justice. But when this constantly continue to happen, to me it's like people are just not going to believe you, man, after a little while. You know what I'm saying? We already
Hmm.
have
Yep.
George Floyd. We already have the guy in Wendy's. We already have this guy. I feel like, in a way, the American people, based on the comments that I get and this and that, they just kind of like, we get a bunch of comments here, and some people are just sick of it. They're just tired of
Yes.
it.
Well, and the truth, that's the part of the puzzle that seems to be commonly missing in all these cases, is that people go to a conclusion before the full truth is known. Yes, we see something on a camera. That camera is one aspect of the situation,
Hmm.
and you might not even be getting the full footage. You might be getting edited footage. You
Right.
can't make a complete judgment call off of one camera angle. That
Hmm.
is just it's out of by itself is not the full context. You may arrive at the right conclusion. You may not arrive at the right conclusion.
Right.
So, without knowing, for certain that this was unjustified, people are making the conclusion that it was unjustified when America is supposed to operate on innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
So, what they're doing is they're taking away their that officer or that defender's right to that.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry that the in this case that Mr. Blake made a very poor decision, in non-compliance and reaching for a weapon as it would appear anyways, based on what we know.
Chen says the car itself was a weapon that you not let him have access to it. And that's true. I was thinking
Right.
about this because in some reports they say that the kids were inside the car. So that's
Yes,
what
I've
I
seen
heard.
that.
You seen that? So I'm
Hmm.
thinking to myself, well, this guy is a violent dude. He went there. There was some type of domestic or some type of argument. There was some issues with the keys, the vehicle keys. Obviously the girlfriend or whatever didn't want him there. So after committing such a fight with the cops, you were in the possession of the knife. Those reports saying that he had a knife and all this, and there's kids in the car. I mean, those cops could have been like, dude, you ain't living, because for once the car could be used as a weapon, and two, if there's kids inside that car, people have the right, or cops are being told to, use deadly force in the protection of others as well. I don't know what you're gonna do with those kids. I mean, we know that you are a sexual abuser because we came here based on that warrant, and you have children in the back of the car. So I don't know if you're taking those kids to a place where you're going to do horrific things to them. You know,
Yeah.
I think the cops were justified completely, man. I really am. And like I was talking about it, a chance says I'm tired of it. Yeah, I'm tired
Yeah.
too. And actually, Chance was part of the, not part of but when the Michael Brown, he lived pretty close to that, so he saw some crazy stuff there as well. And then again, Michael Brown was another one that they painted as it was a racially profiled thing, and it wasn't. And the guy, he's gonna go to college. No, man, he jacked his store a few minutes before the
Yeah.
cops pull him over or stop him.
The truth just wasn't important to the media and to whoever's pushing this agenda, and that's one of the more alarming parts of it, is that when once you get rid of the truth, you can make that situation into whatever you want it to be, and
Hmm.
that is very dangerous. That's very
That is
dangerous,
very
like you were
dangerous.
saying at the beginning of this segment, context. and that context is being left out of this, and
Hmm.
that allows it to be twisted to whatever they want it to mean.
Right, right,
And if the media is not going to do their jobs and give the full picture, then you know how are we supposed to fight that? If they got the
right.
biggest pulpit in this nation, how are we going to shout that down?
Yep. And that's why when I did my video, and obviously I put a video out because everybody was talking about it, and I'm thinking to myself, man, we are missing a very important component, which is what was inside that vehicle. Because again, if a guy, I mean, deadly force comes down to that moment, and I wanted to talk about this with the cow situation, but that moment, in that moment, what happened? And again, the cops were there, multiple cops, taser was deployed, a fighting happened, but deadly force was not authorized, or in my opinion, or necessary, because they still have
Right.
multiple other tools. You have your I was gonna say PR-24, those old school sticks. You have your
Yeah, I
baton,
don't know if they
you have
carry those
your
anymore.
yeah, I know that's
Now.
like old school, man. Remember those
Hmm.
the PR-24 you used to do with some. Anyways, that's
Yep.
old. No, I don't want to talk about it too much. I feel old, but there's all the tools into the game, but what made that cop decided to use deadly force in that moment was whatever he saw inside that car. That's why I was like, people, we don't need to burn down our cities. We don't need to do anything crazy. Even if the cop was wrong, even if the cop straight out murder him for whatever reason, we have a legal system. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? We have a system that is in place to deal with this stuff. We don't need to burn down a local dealership and our local stores. And
And
people
church.
work there, man. Local
Yep.
churches. It's
Yep.
insane, brother. Just insane.